we're having today. My name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the co-facilitator for the MSME Community of Practice at the NESG. And I also wear the hat of director and head at the Faith Institute's division of Faith Foundation. And that's really the research and policy division of the foundation. Now, today we are discussing, or the focus of our conversation today is improving access to markets for Nigeria's MSMEs. And this really is a precursor to the conversations at the upcoming 30th Nigerian Economic Summit that will hold October 14 to 16, 2024 in Abuja. Just to confirm, can everyone hear me? Tolu, please, if you could just give me a nod, that would help.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. And so, like I was saying, the conversation we're having today on improving access to markets for Nigeria's MSMEs is a precursor to the conversations at the upcoming 30th Nigerian Economic Summit that will hold on October 14 to 16, 2024 in Abuja. So if you have not marked your calendars, this is a good time to do that, right? But then the theme of the summit this year is collaborative action for growth, competitiveness, and stability. And what the summit will do, the summit is going to convene regional and global leaders in government, business, civil society, the academia, to discuss the current trajectory of the regional and global economy and the need for collaborative action to address the most pressing challenges within the region, right? And so this conversation, as a precursor to that, the MSME Community of Practice is hosting this conversation really as a means to engage with stakeholders. And by stakeholders, I'm referring to everyone on the call today within the space to discuss challenges, that MSMEs face accessing local, regional, international markets. Right. And when we think about Africa and just the potential markets that Africa has, I mean, we're talking about a 1.2 billion potential market, right? Regional integration, becomes a very crucial and paramount topic, really for all of our sakes. And so today we'll discuss several factors that could enable or mitigate access to markets, such as regulatory hurdles. We talk about trade. We're going to talk about trade barriers. We will talk about limited market information, touch on the AFCTA, touch on technology, payment systems, supply chain linkages, collaboration, and more. And the great thing is that all of the speakers that we have on the call today specialize in 1, 2, or 3 of these areas that I've mentioned. And so they'll be sharing very important perspectives around these issues. Our goal is not to just discuss challenges, right? Our goal really is to explore actionable solutions as we discuss the challenges. And that's why I would really like to encourage everyone to actively participate, right? Because your contributions and your recommendations would not only ensure that we have a robust conversation, but that we're also able to arrive at key agreements that can feed into the larger conversations at the next summit that we'll hold in October, which is really not very far away. And one thing we need to bear in mind as we engage and as we discuss is the reason why we're even doing this. Who is the main target here? It's our MSMEs. And the truth is that their success is inherently tied or linked to the broader economic development of Nigeria. And so by empowering our MSMEs, we're not only supporting individual businesses, we're also driving inclusive growth and prosperity for our nation, and I dare say for even the continent, right? And so on that note, I warmly welcome everyone again to the conversation today. And I look forward to a very productive and inspiring session. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I think on that note, let the conversations begin. So very briefly, on the agenda, we're supposed to take our keynote address from the DG of SMEDAN, and I see that my colleague is sharing the screen so we can see that. So I have taken the welcome address, our keynote address. We're supposed to get that from the DG. He has not joined in yet, and I know that there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to ensure that we can have him join the call. But be that as it may, we have our panel speakers here. So I guess we can just jump right in so that we have more
Yes.
than enough time to discuss a lot of these issues. I mean, when we talk about access to markets, to be honest, it's one of the top 5 challenges that MSMEs face, and this is based on data. We at the Faith Institute, we release an annual State of Entrepreneurship report, and for the past 3 years, access to markets has stayed consistently in the top 5. And I know the PricewaterhouseCoopers reports on MSMEs as well listed access to markets as the top 5 challenge that entrepreneurs face. So this is really an important issue. And I guess that we have more than enough time now, Mrs. Hansen, right, to really focus on the issues and get these different perspectives. So when we have the DG joining at some point, we would pause the conversation, or maybe after the panel discussion, have him deliver some remarks around the topic, and then we would open up for an interactive question and answer segment. But please, as the conversation is going on, please drop your questions in the chat box, drop your recommendations in the chat box. We're all stakeholders within the space, and this is really an avenue to gain insights and recommendations from people who play within the space. And so on that note, I would yield the floor to Mrs. Hansen Edugam. I hope I pronounced that correctly, who is the capacity building lead, thematic lead within the
Yes.
community of practice. Okay, so over to you, Mrs. Hansen, and happy deliberations, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amaka, and thank you everyone for joining this call. It's really a very important discussion we're having, the NES 30. MSMEs, like Amaka has said, have faced challenges, especially in the area of access to markets. And data has really shown that access to markets has always been one of the major issues, major challenges that MSMEs face. And we know that new market opportunities is one of the means to advance economic development. Professionals, we have together key stakeholders, seasoned professionals in their diverse fields that will address this issue, access to markets, improving access to markets for MSMEs. We also know that large enterprises have the muscle, have the operational capacity to wade through challenges. So they wade through these challenges and they are able to surmount these challenges and have better access to markets, better access to enhance their businesses.
Okay, is this me or is Mrs. Hansen's
because
internet?
They are struggling with about. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mrs. Hansen. Can you hear me? Can you hear us?
I hear you. You don't hear me? I hear you.
So 1 minute, please. Let's just confirm. So Lou, can you hear Mrs. Hansen? It appeared like it was breaking, just to be sure.
Yes, I can. It broke. There was some issues at the point, but I can hear.
Okay. So Mrs. Hansen, you are back up now. So we will be praying for you behind the scenes that internet cooperation.
I really.
That's fine. Okay, over to you.
Really, because interestingly, all the networks I gathered, one is still up, and I hope it remains up. Back to the discussion. So I was saying that we have gathered together key stakeholders, we have gathered together experts in their diverse fields to address this issue of access to finance, improving access to finance for MSMEs. Let's delve right into it. We have with us the Executive Director and CEO. Please confirm you can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Executive yes, Director, CEO, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, who is ably representing. All right. Thank you. Thank you. He is ably represented by Mrs. Obidike, the Director of Product Development, NEPC, but I tell you, she is very well more prepared. Mrs. Noye Ayeni has over 25 years of experience in the finance and banking sector, where she built an illustrious career with Zenith Bank PLC, working in various capacities as Group Business Manager, Retail Banking and Operations, Deputy General Manager, as well as General Manager, Human Resources and Human Capital Development, Domestic and Foreign Operations. She has attended several management and leadership training programs in Nigeria, leading change and organizational and management for competitive advantage, among others. Director and CEO of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC. She was the pioneer managing director and CEO of Signature Bank from May 2022 until her current appointment. In her current appointment, Mrs. Noye Ayeni is expected to bring her experience to bear on the operational activities of NEPC, which is saddled with diversifying the economy away from oil. And I can tell you that her representative here, Mrs. Obidike, the Director of Product Development, is very much equipped to address the issues and the points that you will be pushing to her, and the points that she needs to address as regards how NEPC is ensuring improved access to markets to MSMEs. We also have with us Barrister Legosi Woblu. He is the Chairman, National Forum on AFTA. He's an international trade and investment lawyer, a private sector specialist, a trade policy advisor and project manager with considerate experience in WTO law, regional integration, customs and trade facilitation, investment, agriculture, and food security, trade in services, digital and creative economy, and transport policy. He has extensive experience in renewing domestic trade laws and regulations affecting trade and governance, with an in-depth knowledge of development and political economy analysis, multilateral disciplines, and gender economic issues. He has the commitment to drive and support initiatives that can turn around organizational goals and human capacity in any given environment. His philosophy is to pursue that we are very much equipped with the right personnel, with the right panelists to address your issues. So even as regards drafting and recommending changes to laws, you can share your recommendations, and this will be taken up, because these are policy issues that will be addressed even at the meeting today. We also have Dr. Oswald. He's currently a senior technical advisor within the Department of Economic Development, Trade, Industry, and Mining at the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa. He is responsible for the standards related disciplines, including quality infrastructure, technical barriers to trade, and sanitary and phytosanitary measures. He spent the last 4 years working with a team facilitating negotiations on the African Continental Free Trade Area AfTA, focusing on negotiations and drafting of annexes on TBT, that is technical barriers to trade, SPS, and non-tariff barriers. Oswald has been involved with standards issues in trade negotiations for nearly 15 years, having worked at the Standards Organization of Zimbabwe and the SADC Secretariat as a quality infrastructure expert prior to joining the AUC. We know that Nigeria has a national quality policy, and quality is always a challenge as regards international trade. So these issues will be addressed. We also have with us the Director General, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Almona. Dr. Almona has about 30 years of diverse experience. She is a governance expert with global experience in enhancing investment opportunities for SMEs. She founded Vantage Governance Services and led the African Corporate Governance Program, at the International Finance Corporation. She drives corporate governance reforms across 13 African countries. Previously, Dr. Almona was a director at PricewaterhouseCoopers, where she established and led the corporate governance, risk, and compliance practice. She holds a specialist MBA in corporate social responsibility from the Nottingham University Business School, a doctorate in business administration from Business School Netherlands, and is a fellow of several professional institutes. Dr. Almona is a member of various boards and committees, including the Board Audit Finance and Risk Committee of Self-Help Africa and the Butterfly Coalition. She's also an acclaimed author, international speaker, and accredited IFC trainer committed to promoting governance, supporting community development initiatives. She'll be speaking very strongly from the perspective of the business membership organizations. We also have an entrepreneur with us, like other MSMEs in the room. Mrs. Adiola Balogun is the founder and CEO of Lim Foods Production Company Limited. She's a chartered accountant with extensive experience in the African agricultural food processing industry. She's committed to innovation and reducing post-harvest losses in Nigeria by promoting sustainable practices and guiding new entrants into the sector. Lim Foods is a leading Nigerian company known for transforming locally sourced ingredients into high quality freeze-dried fruit snacks and vegetable powders. The company maintains the highest standards with NAFDAC and FDA approvals and emphasizes quality and nutritional integrity. Her career spans leadership roles in major financial institutions, including Unilever and Cadbury, where she managed operations across West Africa. Her entrepreneurial spirit is evident in her participation in programs like the BBN and a lot more, including Faith Foundation's Scale Up Agribusiness Class of 2022. She's a Cascoda Fellow and has been recognized with the SheEOO Award and is one of Business Day's top 100 fastest growing SMEs in Nigeria. She's also a member of several industry associations, including WIMBIS and NASIMA, making her a key figure in Nigeria's agribusiness landscape. It tells you very clearly from the profile of our panelists that we have today the right people in the room, the right people as panelists to delve right deep into the issues as regards improving access to markets for MSMEs. And I welcome you on this journey. I ask you to pay rapt attention and also please share your questions in the Q&A box that has been provided. We want this discourse today to be very engaging, and we really need your questions. We really need your feedback. So we go right into it. And my first question goes to the NEPC. The NEPC is here to ensure and support exports, not just for large enterprises, but for MSMEs. And
Ms. Anson, good morning. Apologies for cutting short. We have the DJ online now.
Interesting.
First take his keynote.
Okay, all right. So we have the DJ at this time. He will take the keynote, and then once he's done, we will delve right into the panel discussion. Welcome, Dr. Odi. You're welcome. You have the floor at this time.
Thank you so much. I want to use this opportunity to thank the organizers of this event for giving us this opportunity to contribute to this discourse. Please permit me to stand on already established protocols. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow stakeholders, it's my pleasure to join you at this very important conversation that's of great significance to the growth of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. This topic has been a central focus for our efforts at the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency since my appointment as the Director General and the CEO of the agency. Recognizing the critical role of small businesses in driving innovation, job creation, and the overall development of the MSME ecosystem, Smedan has adopted a strategy called GROW. And this growth strategy is to provide a comprehensive support to the small businesses in their ecosystem. So GROW is GROW. G stands for guidance, R stands for resources, O stands for opportunities, and W stands for work for support. In terms of guidance, we offer all the expert advice, mentorship on various aspects of business operations, including market research, financial management, and strategic planning. For resources, we provide access to finance, access to financial resources, training programs, infrastructure, facilities to help our SMEs grow and scale. In terms of opportunities, we identify and facilitate market opportunities both domestically and internationally by connecting our small business and potential customers and partners with investors. And for W, which is work for support, we are big on trainings. Week in, week out, we are assisting our small businesses to developing human capacity by providing the trainings that they need for the employees to thrive and increase their productivity. So by implementing this SMEDAN's goal, the growth strategy, SMEDAN has done 5 things very well. The first one is access to finance. We cannot be speaking about access to markets if we do not address access to access in general. We were last year at the Akario for Afroism conference, and we were leading a delegation of small businesses to that conference, and many of them were denied access. So what had happened is we found an innovative way to get their products to Cairo, but what had happened is that the entrepreneurs, the promoters of those businesses were denied access. So in this discourse, one of the things that we need to focus on is access in itself. Be it access to markets, access to finance, access to capacity development, access to mentors, access to a phenomenal network. Access as a whole needs to be addressed. And in addressing access, one of the things that we've done as SMEDAN is to actually increase the capacity of our small businesses to get access. Not oblivious of the fact that there are phenomenal agreements and markets that our small businesses can take advantage of. One is the AFCFTA agreement, which actually has a potential of approximately $50 billion that our small businesses can take advantage of. One of the things that we've begun to do is help our small businesses with the capacity to produce and increase their productivity to take advantage of that. So right now at SMEDAN, we have a shared facility where small businesses can work in, access financing, produce their product, that's turn their raw materials into product, warehouse it, and distribute it at a discounted rate anywhere within Nigeria. And right now we're looking at working with some partners to providing discounted rates out of Nigeria. So I'll give you a typical example. We have a facility here where I'm speaking to you from in Edu that sits about 100 small business owners who are in the garment and textile industry who can, as a matter of fact, come to us, access a single-digit interest loan, go out there, get the products that they need, and come here, turn the raw materials into finished goods, warehouse it here, and distribute it and anywhere across Nigeria. Now, we've signed 2 important agreements. One is, and both of them are focused on logistics. We cannot be speaking about access to market if we do not address the logistics problem. And addressing the logistics problem, SMEDAN has gone ahead to sign an MOU with our government partner, which is NIPOST, and also one of our private sector partner, which is God is Good, GIG Logistics. And so come 1st of September, all our small businesses can access as much as 15% discount on all the products that they are distributing within Nigeria at 15%. And also for our private sector partners, we had struck a partnership of about 20%, where our small businesses can access this phenomenal discount. Because we know that logistics is the heart of retail, and logistics is the heart of access to markets. So we are addressing this problem head on, helping our small businesses to actually have more money to do more production with, but more importantly, helping to reduce the cost of distributing products across Nigeria. Because we are listening and we're listening to the pulse of our small businesses. We found out that some of the feedback that we've gotten for our small businesses is that it has become more, in many cases, has become more expensive to distribute the products rather than produce the products. So one of the things that we want to do is to help them to reduce this high rate of product distribution across Nigeria. One other thing that we are doing at Smedan to help to address access to market for our small businesses is government collaboration and removal of the bottleneck. Just also under guidance, we're working closely with NAFDAC because firstly, a lot of our small businesses who have phenomenal ideas, the ideas are going to the graveyard because they are not able to get the government regulation rights. They're not able to get NAFDAC numbers to be able to produce more products. And if they can't produce the product, then they cannot actually even meet local consumption, talk less of exports. So we're working closely with NAFDAC. One of the things that we're doing with NAFDAC is situating industrial kitchens in different major cities where small businesses can come and access this and get, NAFDAC numbers to help to produce their products. We are also very big on trainings. Like I said earlier, we want to take advantage of some phenomenal agreements. We have the ETIP agreement that was signed by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. We have the AGOA agreement that's ongoing. We have just come back from Washington, D.C., where we led the delegation of small business owners there to meet with congressmen and stakeholders in the U.S. to help to renew this AGOA agreement. And our next job is now sensitization and letting our small businesses know that they can take advantage of this agreement to do a lot of trade with the U.S. So these are some of the ways that we're assisting our small businesses, helping to democratize access in a nutshell, improving their capacity to take advantage of the current agreements in terms of access to markets and local consumption that exists in the market today. I hope that this contributes to the discourse, and I'll be here to take any questions as they arise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you immensely for the insights you just shared. As it is said, information is really wealth. We have heard from the Smedan DG himself, letting us know what Smedan has done and is doing. So this information that you have shared today, thank you so much, Dr. Odi, for this very insightful information. I have just one quick question for you. How do the businesses go about assessing for example, the discounts that you talked about? What steps can be taken? How do they also go about leveraging on the initiatives that you talked about, like even the Grow? If you can just throw a little bit of light on that briefly before I go into the panel discussion, that would be very helpful.
Thank you so much. So for our small businesses, we want to make sure that they are registered with us. This is just one of the many things that we are providing for these small businesses. And so all they need to do is just register with Smedan. Our website is www.smedan.gov.ng, right? So if you work to NIPOS, for instance, all you need to show is that you're being registered with us and you're a registered small business in Nigeria, and then you can access this discount. But if you don't want to register with Smedan, then it means that we are also thinking about you, but it means that you will pay a one-time fee of 1,000 naira. So even if when you pay that 1,000 naira one-time fee, if you keep going back there, you'll also access the discount. We want our small businesses to understand that we are not oblivious of the challenging times that they are facing. And we know that if you take 10 small businesses in the room, we have approximately hundreds of people on the call today. If you take just a sample size of 100 and ask them what their biggest problems are, they will tell you, at least 95% of them will tell you that it's financing. So in addition to this innovative discounting, moving their products across the country. We've also gone to sign some innovative MOUs. Only yesterday, I was in Cross River State where we signed an MOU to a tune of ₦1 billion, where small businesses in Cross River State can take advantage of this loan at a single-digit interest loan that they can use for to add to their working capital. They can use to add to the funds that they need to procure workspaces, and also the funds that they need to get work equipment. So these three ways are the ways that we think that our small businesses can actually increase their productivity. And so we have made funds available for that. We have signed with the Bank of Industry. We have gone to sign with to the tune of 5 billion with Sterling Bank. And our small businesses just need to register. When they register, all of these innovations and interventions that we are brokering for with our private sector partners are something that they can take advantage of. And there are many, many more things to come down the line. But this one is the first set of interventions for the ecosystem, and we want our small businesses to actually key into it. And one of the things that we want to see happen is our small businesses actually take advantage of this for business growth and business expansion. We had one time close to 600 million naira before I became the DG of Smedan I won't call the name of the bank now, at a bank in Nigeria. And in that 600 million, just less than 12 entrepreneurs were able to access the money for business growth and business financing. So one of the things that we're also doing is removing the bottlenecks. In some other cases, it has become easier for the camel to pass through the eye of the needle and for small businesses to access financing. That narrative is changing rapidly. Our 5 billion naira loan portfolio with Sterling Bank, we have over 200 small businesses who have accessed that funding, and we want to continue to get more of small businesses to access. But we know that this is not a grant. We know that this money has to be paid back. So one of the things that we're doing is to help our small businesses to increase their capacity to get access to these loans. So we have deployed business development service providers across Nigeria. We have over 500 business development service providers. One of the things that we want to do is to get it to 774. So I have a minimum of at least one person in each local government who can help our small businesses there equip their capacity to access this funding, equip their capacity to democratize their access to markets, equip their capacity to produce and increase their productivity for local consumption and also for export. So those are the kind of things that we're doing. And answering your question in short, our small businesses just need to register with us. And when they're registered with us, then they can be counted. And then we can also continue our listening meetings where we can listen to them, our town hall meetings where we can get their feedback, and then we can continue to provide the best service for the ecosystem.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to believe very strongly that the MSMEs on this call and other stakeholders have been elated by what Dr. Odi has just spoken with us today, shared with us today. I'm excited myself, and I'm very sure that you're checking already to see how you can register with Smedan to benefit from these initiatives. Smedan, this is the new phase that we're in. We have a listening Smedan. We have a listening body, and Smedan is really positioned to play the key role in supporting MSME development in Nigeria. Thank you so much again, Dr. Odi. Thank you so much. While we still expect you to have your questions, participants, we will delve right into the panel discussion. Yes, we have talked about access to markets locally. Yeah, it's important locally and also internationally, so across the divide. And interestingly, Smedan even talked about easing the burden of logistics to enable your products get to the final consumers. So in today's call, we have Mrs. Obidike representing Mrs. Noye, Dr. Obidike representing Mrs. Noye Ayeni. The question to you, madam, is what structure does the NEPC have in place to support actual exports by MSMEs, including harmonizing regulatory requirements and building capacities of MSMEs for export readiness. At the back of that, if you can also address how these challenges, how these measures you have put in place have addressed the challenges faced by MSMEs to access markets internationally. Thank you, madam. Can have that feedback from you at this time. I think you need to unmute. Yeah, Mrs. OBDK, that question is to you, madam. If you can have all the panelists put their videos on, that would be very helpful. And also your audio.
Mrs.
Okay.
Hanson, if I could just interrupt very quickly. There's a question in the chat box to the SMED and DG around harmonizing standards between how do we get NAFDAC and SON to sort of collaborate together. There's a question around that. I don't know if you want to take it since we have the DG on the call because he might drop off anytime soon. I apologize again. Yeah.
Okay. So I can also see a number of questions for the DG.
We may have to merge them or
yes,
take the ones that are very important. Otherwise, we would have the DG.
Sure.
It will become a fireside chat
with the DG. Yes. Okay. So just give me a minute.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe I take the question. There's a question here. So many questions to the DG. There's a question here. What can the office do to build? Okay, I think these are questions that will be answered by other panelists. Building. All right. So yeah, yes. Okay. So how can there be increased collaboration? So the DG, this is to you. How can there be increased collaboration between NAFDAC and SON? I believe there is an opportunity to work together to streamline and harmonize their approval and certification processes. Currently, the process run separately, yet the requirements are similar. So there's a strong need for collaboration. And really, it aligns with the theme for the NES 30. Really, we can't do without collaboration. There is a strong need for collaboration. So the DG, please, how can there be increased collaboration between NAFDAC and SON to streamline and harmonize the approval and certification processes so that it reduces the bottlenecks because the requirements are same? Is there any discussion in that regard? What is the DG, what is Sweden doing in that regard?
Thank you so much. Sorry, I've moved to another meeting. That's why the location is looking kind of different. So for us as Madam, we're very big on. Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly. We can hear you.
Yes, we're very big on partnerships, and partnerships isn't just with the private sector, but also with government. A lot of government partnerships, and so we are shaking hands with NAFDAC, and we're also shaking hands with SON. While I understand that NAFDAC is very focused on food and drugs, SON is providing a lot of standards for different other things. Even the Ankara that we wear today, SON is speaking with us on developing standards for that kind of garment and textile products. So we are shaking hands with both parties, and what we want to do is make sure that our small businesses, which is approximately 40 million of them, spread across the 36 states and the FCT, get the best of both agencies. For the small businesses who are not in food and drugs, they'll probably be dealing with SON. But those who are in food and drugs, many of them actually need this NAFDAC approval numbers. And so that's what we're doing with NAFDAC, making sure that, first of all, the information is available. They go beyond dealing with middlemen. Dealing with middlemen so much so that the cost of registration is reduced. was speaking to a gentleman yesterday in Cross River who was saying to me that before our intervention, he had actually earmarked close to half a million naira for NAFDAC registration, something that's less than 50,000 naira. So we need to let our small businesses even understand that, listen, the prices are less than what the consultants or the middlemen are calling for you. So if you choose to go with a consultant, that is a different price. But from NAFDAC, this is the price, right? After that awareness, the next thing is now facilitating the help. Facilitating the help is helping them to get this process speedily, because many of them are giving up, and many of them are losing hope in getting their food products or drug into the market. So we're working with NAFDAC. One of those things that we're doing is, because the NAFDAC process is digitized, we want to then provide different other centers in our 36 states and AFCT in certain offices where people can go and have begin this process to get in the NAFDAC numbers. In terms of SUN is a sister agency of ours under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And so we are in the process of working with them to build the standards, making sure that our small businesses adhere to these standards, because again, when these standards are not upheld, it's now difficult for our small businesses to export out of Nigeria into Africa or other markets. So we want to make sure that, first of all, small businesses come out to be a part of this standards formulation and conceptualization, and then they adhere to the standard, just so that our products are not shoved, burnt when they're shipped out of the country.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Odi. Just two quick ones to you. Some feedback here. Some persons have said they have registered with SMEDAN and they hardly get the information that you have shared. So I think that's something that can be looked at. And then secondly, somebody has also raised the point saying he had registered and he's yet to receive his certificate, even after even after sharing his email, and then even after downloading. He said he downloaded the certificate but can't find it and can download the certificate again from another portal. Okay, there's something about certificates. What's the protocol for having certificates after registering, so it's clear to everyone?
I've just put the email address that they can actually send any inquiries. The certification process is pretty much straightforward. When you go on there and when you register, you get your certificate and it's free of charge. I'm being told that a couple of people across Nigeria are trying to monetize this. Please, our certificates are free. Our certificates just mean that you fill some basic questions for us. We just want to know who you are, where you're located, what kind of products that you are doing, who's promoting this business, what times when you're open, just different basic questions that we can get from you as a small business owner, just so that we can have some information. So when interventions are coming, we can push it to you. The person who hasn't heard from us could be that their email address that they're putting is wrong. And so what they can do is go in there and change the information. They can then begin to hear from us on a weekly basis, because we churn out newsletters, we churn out surveys, we churn out infographics that are beneficial to our ecosystem. So again, I put an email address that they can send an email to.
I think I need to check my email address. I think I need to check the email address. It says gov.g, that G or NG.
.ng, info, smedan.gov.ng.
Okay. Thanks a million. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles Odi. Thank you so much. This has been really insightful. And I'm sure you will get a lot of feedback as a result of this session we're having today. So it's Mrs. OBDK, are you ready to take the question?
Yes, of
okay.
course. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yes, ma'am. So let me just take that again. What structure does the NEPC have in place to support actual exports by MSMEs, including harmonizing regulatory requirements and building capacities of MSMEs to be export ready? And how have these initiatives or structure helped in addressing the challenges faced by MSMEs so that they are able to access international markets? All right, ma'am, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm representing the Executive Director and CEO, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Nonye Ayeni. NEPC, as it is the apex federal government agency for the promotion of non-oil exports, has its headquarters in Abuja, and we have offices in the 36 states of the Federation. So that is one. So in terms of grassroots information dissemination, grassroots contact, we are there across the whole nation. In addition to that, we have our website, nepc.gov.ng, where we use to disseminate information. But that as it may, the agency, NEPC, also has as its structure, we have the product development department, we have the trade information department, we have the market access department, we have the export development and incentive department, and then we also have the state coordinating office department. Then in terms of helping the MSME and the SMEs, one is to get them registered, because for you to be an exporter, you have to register with the council. And that we have done to alleviate their maybe problem. Initially, when NEPC started, you have to physically come to any of the offices to register, bringing your documents. But that is like 20, 30 years ago. So now, in the comfort of your room, in the comfort of your office, you access our website, and there you upload all the documents. And if the documents are correct, including payments, remitter payments, if the documents are correct, within 24 hours, you will be able to print out your certificate. So we have taken off the burden of logistics from the exporters in terms of registration. Now, after registering, what next? A lot of them come, they don't even know what product they want to export, or they don't know in what form, they don't know the market. That is where our trade information department comes in. We look at the product for sure. You may say, I have share to export. We have our export clinics. We have our mentoring. When we are talking of mentoring, like ProTeach, where we attach these SMEs to successful exporters to train and to guide them and to handhold them. And then we, on our own self, the NEPC, we have been collaborating with development partners and some other agencies to ensure that these products are done in the right form and as required by the market, because market drives the product. I can give you an example. Okay. Oh, that is here. I can give you an example. Hibiscus. Nigerian hibiscus suffered some setback about 10 years ago. And what did we do? NEPC, in collaboration with NAQS, we approached the Mexican embassy and we said, no, Nigerian hibiscus cannot suffer ban in Mexico. And we worked in collaboration with the agency, with the Mexican embassy in Nigeria, and also the regulatory agency in Mexico that is called Senasica. Right now, Nigeria has the highest 80% of hibiscus that are being imported into Mexico is from Nigeria, is of Nigerian origin. That is just one. Now, share, in terms of share, I'll give you another example. NEPC saw that share, Nigerian share, has great potential. But Ghana and other market, Mali, were like our competitors. We said, no, that can't happen. We wrote to the STDF, WTO, World Trade Organization, and we were able to secure a project called STDF 172 for shea nut, shea butter, and also sesame seed. And that project, we collaborated with International Trade Center, WTO, Standard Trade Development Facility. They came to Nigeria. It's about a 4-year project. And at the end of it, everything you are seeing now, the success that is being recorded in the shea sector, where we have majority, predominantly women, 85 to 90% women, even in the grassroots, was as an outcome of the success of that project. Because in that project, it showed them the right formulation. It also talked about even the water they were using, because previously they said they are having E. coli and other things that were not good, that were affecting the project to be rejected. But with that project, successfully in collaboration with the association, now Nigerian share is not only being one of the top, but even big cosmetic companies, body shops, pharmaceutical industries, and we're even talking about food grade. Talk less of even the range. It has been diversified. It's not a cash cow. That's just one. And then in terms of now, Nigeria also under sesame and cowpea. There were some little itches about export of cowpea, Nigerian cowpea, to the EU. And we rose up again. As we are talking now, we have been able to secure a project, STDF 845, which was personally launched by no other person than Her Excellency, the Director General of WTO, Dr. Okonjo Iweala. She came here in February and launched that project to ensure that Nigeria cowpea and sesame seed, they conform to the sanitary and phytosanitary regulations that are requirements in the market. So we are taking it bit by bit. And if I start saying everything, 5 hours will not be enough. But at least this is just where I just want to stop here to whet your appetite. In addition to that, under the she trades in Commonwealth, I believe you've heard so much about that. Yes. She trades in Commonwealth, yes. A lot have been done, especially to make sure that our women go global. Right from the farm gate. And the she trades cut across different product sectors. Agric, non-agric, like you have even the textiles, the garment, the food sector there. They train them on the formulation and also certification of products. Talking about HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, which is even the basic. And there's so many of them also have gotten their US FDA to ensure that they can export to the US. And then some also ISO certified. And now we are looking at kosher and we're looking at halal, because the markets for this kosher and halal, they are growing. And we're also looking at fair trade. But in addition to that, global gap certification, so that our exporters can have access to 117 countries globally.
Thank you.
Not only certification, packaging and labeling.
Yeah.
You can have a good product, but if you don't have a good packaging, and that will interest you, even in NEPC, we have a unit, packaging, labeling, and branding unit. And that is why what they do is that we gather them together, state by state, going around. We first of all evaluate what they have. We evaluate the packaging, and then the experts, we now tell them what to do. Very, very important. Because if the products are not packaged well, it will be rejected. And it might get to the destination in a very deteriorating form. And that will cost money, and that will cost losses. It will interest you to know that the packaging could be good, but the labeling, the font size is important. There are rules to that, and that we are addressing. This is what we're addressing. Now, also for the SMEs, we take them to the market. because they are for business, they are not for charity. How do we take them to market? We take them through expos, we take them through B2B, and then matchmaking section, and then we unbundle them, also collaborating with the different embassies and agencies, looking at programs. I can give you just 2 examples because of time. We are collaborating with the GIZ, the German Development Partners, and also the CBI, Center for the Promotion of Imports into the developing countries. Under the GIZ, we are collaboration centers on digital trade, as well as cashew, value addition into the cashew sector. We don't want Nigeria to continue exporting raw peanuts. If you export RCN, you just have like, let's say $50 per kg. But if you export the kernels or fully finished, yet you'll be talking about 500, just for example, yes, dollars per kg. So we are partnered, we are partnering, we've been able to train many farmers, many processors within what we call the master training program.
Thank you, madam.
Under that.
I can see,
then
yes,
under the
under the
CBI, we have cocoa, cashew, sesame, and then even today, as at today, many of them are now exporting. Exporting because we took them to Anoga Trade Fair. We took them also to Seattle. We also took them, they had face-to-face contact with the buyers, with the European buyers, with the US buyers, and even in Netherlands. And then we are also conducting surveys. And just yesterday, we had interaction with His Excellency, the ambassador from one of the East African countries, and we are going to open them up very soon.
Yes, I must say a lot is happening. Yes, I must say a lot is happening, and we're really excited that this is already happening. Information is wealth, not just power. Information is wealth. I know that a lot of persons don't even know this depth of what is happening. And is there just a quick one to you? Is there a portal? Is there a help desk? How do people get to know these details about what is happening? Just the 1 minute response to that so that we can go to other panelists.
Yes, fantastic. We have through our website, and when the CEO came in, Nonya Ayeni, kudos to her, she introduced what she called Export Connect. Every month, we are reaching out, it's a webinar. The first one we had over 4,000 people that logged on. And another one is coming up next week, Wednesday, a week today. Yes, if you go to nepc.gov.ng, you will have it. Yes, Export Connect, connect with us. There we are pushing out information. And also all our offices nationwide, 36 states, including the headquarters here. NEPC Connect, you will get it. nepc.gov.ng. That is our, yes.
Really, really very encouraging. The
importance of that NEPC Connect is that it's a face-to-face. We give opportunity for exporters every month to tell us what they feel is the challenge. And it will interest you that just 2 weeks ago, to make sure that we mainstream informal trade, our trade information unit went to the borders. They went in collaboration with other agencies. You have the quarantine, you have the customs, you have we went to the Kamba. I don't know if you know Kamba, because a lot of onions is being exported from there. We went to Kamba, and we also went to Samia, that is in Kebbi State, and border of Sokoto. And we were also in Shaki area. And then we also went to Oron, and we even in Idumota. These are the measure. We met with the critical sectors. We met with the royal fathers. We met with the truckers. And what are we doing? We are telling them, why don't you come in? If you come in, you benefit. And we are now setting up a structure that we are going to use to train them in collaboration with AfroExim. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. In fact, the applause should just keep coming. This is really good. This is very, it really shows that you're a listening agency and you have done a lot to address the issues and the challenges that the MSMEs face in assessing markets. Kudos, and thank you for the Export Connect. I believe very strongly that we got that. Sessions like this really are eye-openers and become avenues of getting very vital information. At this point, we will go to after. We will discuss.
Excuse me, please.
Okay.
I want to drop just something. My ED CEO, on her assumption of duty, this is her target to double the non-oil exports volume and value. Operation double your export. And she came up with a mantra and she said, hashtag export 35 redefined. Hashtag export 35 redefined. What does it mean? Nigeria has more than 1,000 products, but she said, no, let's put our best foot forward. And she said, give me the first 20 products that is making the first 20 list, and then 10 leading exporters and to 5 markets. So this is what she wants to focus on. And with that, we'll be able to leverage whatever experience, success stories we have, we leverage it on another portal. At this moment, thank you very much. And thank you for having Nonye Ayeni, Executive Director, CEO, NEPC. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure having you.
Yes, thank you. Please don't leave the call yet, madam, if you don't mind, because some more questions will come at you later. But if I know if you give you the floor, you can just do 2 hours stretch.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. After is another opportunity that presents access to markets for international trade. And we know that new market opportunities is a huge means of supporting development, even enterprise development. We have with us Barrister Lekosi Webu, the chairman, National Forum AFTA, and would like to take this question, sir. What progress has been made in the implementation of AFTA within Nigeria? And how is the National Action Committee on AFTA ensuring that Nigerian businesses, particularly MSMEs, are positioned to benefit from this agreement? Just recently, there was a guided trade initiative, and not many MSMEs were able to take advantage of that opportunity. How do we bridge that gap? What is happening in that space to ensure that MSMEs actually benefit significantly from the AFTA agreement? Barrister Lekosi, part of if you can just adjust your camera a bit so we can see your face clearly. All right. Thank you so much. You have the floor, sir. Let's try and do this.
Am I showing now?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. I've already been introduced. So going straight into the question, just for the purpose of background, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, the AFCFTA, is a continental agreement that is being signed by 54 African countries for purposes of promoting intra-African trade and increasing our volume of transaction within the continent. Since 2018, a lot has happened in Africa and also in Nigeria on the agreement. So within Nigeria, as we are all aware, Nigeria have signed the agreement since 2019. And there is an office, just for information, the National Forum on AFCFTA is not a government agency, it is a multi-stakeholder platform that engages public and private sector actors on issues of the AFCFTA. And so, so I speak representing the views of the private sector from that perspective. So since 2019, the AFCFTA has been signed by Nigeria, and there is a coordinating office, which is commonly referred to as the National Action Committee on the AFCFTA. And then beyond that, structures are also there. We have Barrister Segun Awolowo, who is the head of that agency, or that office rather. And so going straight into the issue of what has been happening and what is being done all this while. Yes, Nigeria signed in 2019, but we were not on the speed lane the way we ought to have been. And so just recently in April, no, not April, June, Nigeria started or launched the GTI, that's the Guided Trade Initiative. The Guided Trade Initiative, as the name implies, is an initiative that on board some businesses in order to test run the food trading under the AFCFTA. And so Nigeria took part in the second phase, and we had opportunity of trading with about 4 countries, Kenya, Cameroon, Egypt, and one other country. And then some businesses and their products were onboarded. About 10 Nigerian companies came on board to trade under the GTI, and they send their export to those countries I just mentioned. Yes, it may not be the final list, but it is a test run. And so 10 ambassadors have been sent out so far. But I think the door is now wide open for all businesses in Nigeria, be it MSME or multinational, as it were, to take advantage of the opportunities that the AFCFTA provides by going to the National Action Committee office. I think they are in the BOI building. For now, the outreach and spread is not much. I think that is one of the challenges that need to be dealt with. The NAC committee is only resident in Abuja, no other outpost office anywhere in Nigeria for our businesses to reach out to. But I think it is also very important that as we take on this conversation, that something needs to change by way of ensuring that the National Action Committee or the National Coordinating Office should have presence at least in the geopolitical zone, so that people will have the opportunity of accessing the information and then knowing what to do part-time in terms of exporting or in terms of doing business under the AFCFTA. But very critical is the fact to say that, yes, the AFCFTA provide MSMEs in Nigeria the opportunity to trade in more 54 more 54 or 55 African countries beyond what we are doing before now in the ECOWAS sub-region of trading among ourselves. So I think very importantly, just 1 minute, I'll be speaking. Very importantly, we should have that consciousness clearly to say, sorry, my battery went down, so I have to plug it. Yeah, so that's just the situation as it is right now. The opportunities are there to deal with over 1 billion people or 1.2 billion people in Africa. And so the example I usually give is that if you are a Nigerian business, Nigeria, we are told we are 200 million. So 200 million Nigerians, you've been producing for 200 million Nigerians. But the AFCFTA provides you access to additional 1 billion, because the 1.2 billion people in Africa, Nigeria is already 2 billion, 200 million of that number. So it is an opportunity for us to reach out to additional 1 billion consumers or 1 billion market of people who will need our product. So it is a big space, and the opportunities are there. And I was impressed when the DG of SMEDAN was also talking about the issue of distribution, or we call it logistics. One of the challenges, and I think we need to also find a way around that to support our businesses, is how the question on the mind of MSMEs in Nigeria is that how do I move from point A to point B? We need to provide that information. We need to provide that platform for them to understand what it takes and how they can go about it. But for me, I think we also need to be mindful of the fact that it is not just about going cross-border, but we also have to let our businesses in Nigeria to, first of all, capture the domestic market before trying to go out into the regional or continental market. So I think that also needs to be connected to what we do. And then most importantly, looking at market access, where are products in Nigeria needed in Africa? What are the products that we already have that is ready for the African market, and how can we hold them into those spaces? So I think quite a lot need to be done. It may not have taken the form it ought to have taken in terms of speed, but I think the AFCFTA provides a much wider market for Nigerian MSMEs. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that insight you've shared. And really, charity begins at home. Yes, charity begins at home, because when you're able to meet the need of those around you, meet the domestic need, look at your local environment, and learn the teething issues around servicing the market locally. When it's now time to serve the international market, it's easier. So it's critical that we build capacity locally so that we can leverage on that capacity to now play in the foreign space. So this is critical. We have Dr. Oswald here with us, who is the AU Senior Technical Expert at the AU. And on the back of what we have just discussed on AFTA, standards are critical, standards are important. We also know that most of the time when SMEs or businesses meet certain requirements, they now have to duplicate efforts again in meeting further requirements, not just even internationally, even locally. But we'll be speaking to the international perspective at this time. And we'll have Dr. Oswald address this question. Many SMEs in Nigeria face significant challenges when exporting products, as destination countries often require new standardization recertifications. And even for products that have already gone through NAFDAC certification and SON certification, this duplication of certificate requirements, creates a bottleneck. It makes it more difficult and also contradicts international trade laws. It also imposes very prohibitive costs, because you want your products to be competitive at international markets, but these processes also imposes prohibitive costs and delays for exporters. How can Nigeria work towards harmonizing certification standards with other countries to eliminate these barriers? And also, what measures are being taken to address the reciprocal demands for recertification, both for Nigerian exports abroad and for imports in Nigeria, to ensure a more seamless and cost-effective trade processes for businesses? Dr. Oswald would like you to take on this question. We're looking at our time, and if you can address this question in the next 7 minutes, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Madam Moderator, thank you so much for the question, but let me also take this opportunity to thank the colleagues at NESG for inviting the African Union to be part of this conversation. We always get excited when we get an opportunity to engage with the colleagues that we believe we're working for in all the member states. And certainly this discussion on MSMEs is central to everything that Africa is trying to achieve on the whole. I'm also happy, of course, noting from all the contributions that we've had so far that there's general acceptance that quality is one of the major factors in the formula for MSME success. So without adherence to standards, without ensuring that we have the right quality of product or service, the chances of success on the market, the chances of accessing the market even are really very reduced. Excellent question that you asked me, Madam Chair. Let me just briefly try to address it right away. First of all, I think we need to understand, and this is very important, that countries and authorities, governments need assurance that anything coming into their country, anything that is being imported into their country is safe for their people, is safe for their environment. So you cannot have an open door system that has no checks and balances for things coming into your country, which is why we need these rules, standards, and regulations to try and protect the internal market. Now, for the authorities to have the confidence that the KI system in a country is up to scratch, they need to be sure that the country that is exporting has got in place safeguards that they can count on, that they can rely on, that they've made sure that this product will reach my borders and not create havoc in my internal systems. And so we have to relate here to a very important part of our societies, which is the conformity assessment authorities or institutions that we have. In the case of Nigeria, standards development, standards harmonization will take place within or at least be coordinated by an organization such as the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON. That is their job, that is their duty, okay? But within SON itself and outside of SON, there will be a lot of people that then take responsibility for ensuring that compliance to those standards is actually also taking place. And these are what we refer to as conformity assessment bodies. They do laboratory testing, they do certification, they do inspections, they do calibrations, and all such things. And we trust products on the basis of the reports that come out of these processes called conformity assessment. Now, if a report that is given by, if I take the example the example of a product we've already heard about, sesame seed, or hibiscus for that matter, and I need to export that to a neighboring African country, and I've got it tested by a certain laboratory in the country, and that laboratory is not accredited, then the receiving country has the right to challenge it if they so wish. The accreditation here is the backbone of what we call mutual recognition arrangements, so that authorities in either country can trust each other's reports and so on. In the absence of that, really, we leave room for a lot of questioning of each other, and the need for countries to demand retesting or recertification when products reach their shores, and as a consequence, that becomes an extra cost to our SMEs that are trying to export that product to that country. So at the heart of this debate is the issue to have mutual recognition arrangements between countries or between trading partners. And mutual recognition is nearly always based on accreditation if you want to do it internationally. On bilateral basis, it can just be an issue of peer evaluation or peer assessment between the two trading partners. But if you are counting on trading the same product with many countries, then MRA is the way to go. From an AU perspective, we now work with organizations like SON and similar organizations in all the other member states to try and have this same understanding. In support of this effort would be organizations that we refer to as accreditation bodies. In the case of Nigeria, of course, this will be the Nigerian National Accreditation System. And even these accreditation bodies also must abide according to some standards that ensures or give us the assurance that they are also doing their jobs correctly. So it's a chain of systems that are meant to give safeguards, and once that is fulfilled, then we are good to go. So it might look like it's not an issue that SME organizations can directly get involved with, but the important thing is SMEs must give information and accurate information to, and I'm so happy about this, to organizations like the NEPC that just spoke and SMEDAN, because these bodies are the ones now that at the AU level we can collaborate with and find data and information about the areas of most difficulty, and then try to have continental policies that we can apply to safeguard our MSMEs from such mishaps. I think in quick summary, let me just leave that there for now. I trust that at least the message is through, that recertification and things like that is inevitable if we are not operating within the right systems, which is the systems of accreditation, the systems of MRAs. In these facilities that we need, our national quality infrastructure institutions like NINAS, like SON, like your national metrology institutions in Enugu and so on, to be on top of the situation, because without that support, then they leave MSMEs exposed to product rejection in their export markets. I submit, okay, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for that. One key thing, accurate information is required from the local end, so that in integrating, the right information is passed across an international scene. Just one more question to you, Dr. Oswald. We know that digital infrastructure is a critical part now, for assessing information, not just the access to the market, but information for access to markets. Is there a plan in sight for the AU to invest in digital infrastructure to support MSMEs in achieving higher quality standards and increasing market access?
Thank you once again, Madam Chair. There isn't a specific plan for the standardization aspect of this, but the African Union actually has a digital transformation strategy for Africa, which is running from 2020 to 2030. It's a 10-year strategy. And around this, a lot of issues to do with digital technologies have been addressed, including aspects also relevant to the issues of standardization. But attached to this are the efforts that we are seeing at the African Union also to establish what we call a trade observatory. This will be an online platform accessible to everybody everywhere, where information to do with trade in general, can be posted and inquiries answered, and also there will be information there about markets for different products and so on and so forth, and it will be run from the African Union itself. We know that the AFCFTA Secretariat as well has got similar initiatives in place. So in terms of accessing information in the digital space, there will be no shortage of that, absolutely, at continental level. We're working with all stakeholders, including institutions in science and technology, research institutions, academic institutions even, to make sure that our response in this regard is robust. And I know that even issues of AI are already big conversation here. Green industrialization is also very big conversation here. So there will be no lack of support and information in this regard accessible to our colleagues in the SME and MSME sectors. Madam.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's really good to know. So there's a strong need to speak for all the stakeholders to speak to one another. So there's that need for stakeholder collaboration, stakeholder engagement. Thank you so much, Dr. Oswald, for that. We'll quickly just take on the question on for Dr. Almona, representing the business membership organizations. She's the DG, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So madam, what roles do business membership organizations play in fostering access to markets for MSMEs and encouraging collaboration between large enterprises, public institutions, and MSMEs? Now you'll be speaking from the private sector perspective and speaking on behalf of the MSME community, but now as a business membership organization. So what role is being played in this regard by the BMOs? Dr. Omona, please.
All right. Good afternoon, organizers and participants. This is Dr. Sonny Omeza-Michael, representing Dr. G.R. Almona, who had to drop off to attend a physical meeting right away. I got your question talking about what role do business membership organizations like chambers of commerce also, or like the SCCI, play in helping with creating opportunities for SMEs.
Yes, or like even the NASME or NASI, all the BMOs, really.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So specifically speaking from the point of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and what we do to support our SME group and those in the export sector group concerning their export programs and having access to international markets. So we have at the chamber, we have a dedicated sector group for export in the first place, and also for SMEs. Because at the chamber, we have a special intervention mechanism for SMEs. For us, we build a capacity to understand what they need or standards. For instance, the last speaker spoke about standards and also market information. We work with, the chamber works with regional economic agencies like ECOWAS and others to even up to the East African region to get market information that we can use to support our members who want to export to these other countries. So we support with information, market information, which is very critical for market access, because most times people want to export to countries they don't know so much about or nothing about. And so they don't know the standards are obtainable, they don't know the procedures to follow. And most times they get into a terrain that is quite uncharted for them. And so it leads to losses. So we help with that building capacity to understand these opportunities, and secondly, opportunities to have market information that can guide them to how they go. Then we also work with other chambers of commerce, for instance, in these other countries. We collaborate with them. Even when we do our normal research, we try to benchmark with other countries working through these chambers of commerce, just trying to make sure we have the right information to give to our members and for them to know how to go on to do whatever they need to do in these other countries. So clearly, these are ways that we support exporters and SMEs, especially in doing export. Even for the large corporates that are also into export, when they have issues with logistics, whether it's at the port, with customs, or they have issues of shipments and all of these logistics issues, we talk to the agencies responsible, the customs, immigration, and all of that as much as possible to engage them on behalf of these members who want to export to some countries, some of these countries. So in a summary, we are putting it out there that this is what we do almost on a daily basis to see how we support the SMEs to export to other countries. I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Suni. Really, you have just emphasized the need for unifying efforts, and collaboration keeps coming up over and over again. There's a strong need for that continuous discourse, that continuous unification of efforts that has come up several times. And I want to believe that we still have the questions coming in. Please put in the questions, your questions in the Q&A room. This is a great opportunity to let out those challenges that you have been thinking about how to get them resolved. This is an opportunity to let that happen. Right away, we will speak to an MSME herself, somebody playing in the space, somebody that has got her hands dirty in leveraging diverse opportunities, access to the market opportunities. So she'll be sharing from her perspective. Madam Jola Balogun, the CEO of Lim Lim Foods, this is to you. What specific strategies has Lim Lim Foods adopted to assess markets locally? Like we had said, it's good to play locally and learn the ropes locally and also internationally, including complying with standards? And what role has technology played in enabling this? So this is a good place for MSMEs to also get some insights from. Thank you so much, madam. You have the floor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Standing on all existing protocols. So my name is Adiola Balogun, co-founder of Lim Lim Foods, where we freeze-dry fruits and vegetables locally grown in Nigeria to help reduce post-harvest losses. And we also ventured into egg powder production as well as ready-to-made meals. The whole idea was just to say, on one hand, we're having farmers experiencing post-harvest losses. On the other hand, we're having food and beverage companies locally available in Nigeria importing these same items as intermediates. And so we felt somebody had to come into the middle to bridge that gap, and that's where we play. So in terms of collaboration and how we've been able to get to markets, we first of all started from home. And so we got certifications and we worked with NEPC, SMEDAN, NAFDAC. So I was smiling when each of the DGs were talking about what they were doing, because I mean, the things that we've had to go through. And then we've done collaborations and working with other organizations, like we worked with the World Bank with the egg powder production, the World Bank in collaboration with Lagos State Ministry of Agric. And this project was well acclaimed, widely acclaimed, and we won awards. We worked with organizations like GAIN, Alliance, SBN, that's Some Business Network, Collade, amongst others, and some other business working groups. We also did courses with places like Faith Foundation, like the Agric Scale Up program, which is a fantastic one. If you have not done it, you are missing. I think you need to do that. And joined organizations like WIMBIS, PBN, NASME, to mention but a few. In so doing, we were building networks, and we're also building capability, and we're also building credibility. Because if you are members of these associations and you go through the rigor of their requirements and you speak to, and they confirm and authenticate that you're a member, then it's also building credibility for you as a startup. So also we now took a step further by working with international organizations like Bureau Veritas, because we identified Bureau Veritas as one gateway for businesses that want to export, because they are globally recognized, and also getting our FDA. We worked with that with NEPC, which I must thank them. We attend a lot of trade shows and presentation, and it's been a journey of deliberate hard work, determination, and dedication. It's like we wanted to become an outlier with freeze drying, because freeze drying was something that was not common, that is not common in Nigeria. It's an expensive venture, but it's the future for processing and preserving products without altering the structure or the nutrients of the product. And it takes us into different fairs. So we can work with baby food companies, we work with the cereal factories, biscuit companies, and the like. So it gives us a wider playing ground to play in. But in so doing, we also work with experts across the globe, from Asia to Europe to North America, where we've had to go there to meet them, because we didn't come into this business for a short journey. We're looking at the bigger picture. We realized that in so doing that, if you're able to solve the problems that you're facing in Nigeria, you are also solving the problem available that is present in West Africa and indeed a lot of African countries. And so we had to expand our knowledge into all those continents. And then also locally, we do a lot of talking and collaboration sessions like this. This also builds credibility, and I would encourage a lot of startups and MSMEs to do more of this. We do a lot. We speak about our brand, and it's building credibility. It's bringing, and through all these programs, we get referrals, we get clients from North America, from different parts of the world, any part of the world, we get collaboration from that. And so that's it. The other big part of it is that, which is very, very interesting, is that because we're into this process and because we've been known for this, we get food and beverage companies locally in Nigeria that are facing FX challenges and the global supply chain disruptions come speak to us to say, we want to produce this product. Can you do for us? Can we work together? Some are even saying, can we fund part of your growth? Can we have MOUs and agreements wherein you work with us for a certain number of years and all that? So it's been quite interesting. and an eye-opening journey for me as an MSME in Nigeria and indeed Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will still ask you some further questions, but it just throws a strong light on the need for being deliberate. Limling Foods hasn't come this way without having a vision, without being deliberate about our growth. And then the various interactions you've also had has opened you up to information that you would not have had if you were sitting alone all by yourself. So there's a need for that interfacing, there's a need for that becoming members of business organizations. So across the various states that MSMEs on this call are in, ensure that you identify opportunities for such collaboration and of course being very deliberate about your growth. Now back to Limling Foods again. I know that in the whole journey, the journey of this growth, you've experienced challenges as regards even interfacing internationally with regards to payment systems. How have you addressed challenges on payment gateways across the region? And are you aware of the Pan-Africa payment system and do you utilize such?
Okay, this is a very interesting question. From our experience, making payments within Africa is exhausting and it's difficult. It's even easier for you to make payments to other regions than within African countries. And it gives you this feeling of we're just dropping a lot on the table. We're leaving a lot on the table. There's so much that we can do by a cohesive African intertrade. Why do I need to go to North America or Asia or Europe to trade when my African countries need our products? We started a project with, I think it was in Rwanda. We're trying to work something with a product with Rwanda. And I started doing all the documentation and all that. When it got to payment, we realized that even for African countries, you're back to dollar. It's a dollar, you have to dollarize it. Where you work with banks, tried payment options between formal and informal. There's a lot of informal payments that are working, but in the long run, you ask yourself, do I want to go informal? Why don't I stay I want to go through the process. I can have documentation of what I've done. So you have some apps like World Remit, Lemfi and all that, but their charges are expensive. We have some banks that are also into these services. They're cheaper. However, you are limited to the countries where these banks exist. Banks like, I think, Access Bank, Eco Bank, UBA, they do this. But it's not, and even at that, some of them also, they have to go through intermediary banks. So I'm sending money to somebody in Rwanda. He has to go to the Europe before he gets back to Rwanda. It's a crazy journey. With regards to PASS, we're not really conversant with PASS, I must say. But I think so far, from what I've learned with PASS, we only have about 5 banks in Nigeria who have signed on onto it. So a lot still needs to be done in terms of information dissemination, enlightenment for a lot of startups. If it does work, it'll be fantastic for all because there's so much we can do together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And interestingly, PASS was created through a partnership between West Africa Monetary Institute, the African Export-Import Bank, and Afrexim. So I think this is something that we should take on as NESG. So we will go on to the next question. Still straight to you also. Do you leverage on opportunities under AFTA?
For AFTA right now, even with the speaker that spoke about AFTA, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's so much opportunity that AFTA offers MSMEs we can all leverage on. But right now, there's still so much work to be done. Until it is done, we can't say we have leverage. We've not benefited from it so far. Hello.
Okay, yeah, I think I got lost for a bit. Yes. So we had asked the question around.
I think you are breaking up. I can barely hear you.
Okay. Is it getting better?
Yes, it is better now. It is better now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I will
think it's still breaking.
piggyback on the questions or the responses that NEPC had given at this time. There are some few questions for call. But is it better? Is it better? Hello?
Yes, temporarily.
Okay. So is this better now?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Mrs. Obidike, are you still on the call? Seems not. Please confirm. All right.
No,
So
no, she's not on the call.
okay. All right. That's fine. So we'll just take on Barrister Legacy again. Then we would have other panelists address some other matters that's very pertinent, and while we wrap up, we're wrapping up very soon. Barrister Legacy, please. I know during the conversation, NEPC had mentioned the need for the custom services to also be here. Now, how can MSMEs assess the necessary guidance and resources so that at another round under the GTI initiative or policy, they are able to leverage on the opportunities under AFTA? How can MSMEs assess the certificate from the trade facilitation certificate from the Nigerian Customs Services? Dr. Barrister Legacy, please.
Barrister Legacy
Okay.
has dropped.
Okay. All right. Right, that's
Okay,
fine.
Mrs. Hanson, so if I could just chip in, it looks like network is really hunting our speakers. I mean, despite our prayers on the background. So can I just suggest that we do a final round of questions so that we close in time, and then we can answer the questions in the chat.
Yes, we can.
So we have just
will do that at this.
Yes, 10 minutes. We have just about 10 minutes to wrap up before closing remarks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it at this time. All right, so let's just push the question now to Lagos Chamber of Commerce. You had talked a bit about technology adoption. Now, what recommendations? I know that the LCCI is doing some work in that regard, but what other recommendations can you give? What recommendations can you give to other players, other business membership organizations as regards technology adoption to improve the operational efficiency and competitiveness of MSMEs? Because we know that technology is plays a key role in access to markets. What recommendations would you give to other BMOs in specific terms now? Thank you.
Okay, so thank you again. Clearly, like I started to say, we looking at technology. The last speaker spoke about PAPs. That is supposed to be a use of technology to ease payments across borders. But again, it has not fully taken off, just as we also struggle with AFCFTA taking off, though the first shipment under AFCFTA took place 2 weeks ago with NEPC and Mr. Awolowo. So, but watch to see how it progresses. Talking of technology, of course, we advise other BMOs to work with e-commerce platforms. Maybe if it's an e-commerce platform in those other countries that their members are trying to ship to. So try and collaborate with them, because again, it's not very easy for an SME to work out such collaboration, partnerships, and MOUs and all of that. it's easier for a chamber of commerce, it's easier for a trade association to work with another trade association in those countries and enter into MOU or a part of a kind of partnership agreement on behalf of their members to be able to use some platforms to showcase their products out there and also make payments as easy as possible. But presently, again, payment platforms are still where they are for now until we have better ones. But again, it is that collaboration that I see us as coming, handy to help these small businesses that cannot on their own start to talk big with countries, out there. But if they are able to work with their BMOs that they're members of, then they can leverage. Then we like the last speaker also said, and we need to emphasize that attending trade shows matters a lot. Go to other trade fairs. You meet other traders of like minds in your same sector. What are they passing through? And you share ideas and you learn a lot from there. And you can start to create your own contact even right from there. Trade shows. So we at the chamber, we mobilize our members to attend these trade fairs in different countries. But when they're also coming in, we also mobilize businesses from outside to attend the ones locally hosted. Like the Lagos International Trade Fair, for instance, we mobilize them to come. And when they come from different African countries, they meet Nigerian counterparts and they start to form partnerships, which they can use a lot of technology after now to continue to upscale. So that would be the advice to other BMOs. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. As we wrap up, we will just have Mrs. Balogun speak a bit about how she surmounted challenges that exist in the ecosystem, the challenges that exist in Nigeria, and then also in addressing that, you can just answer two questions that we have here on how you manage financial support for your machinery, and then also navigating quality standard. Are you overcoming this, man? And it's a continuous journey. All right, as you wrap up, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So right now in Nigeria, MSMEs, we're in a precarious situation right now. We're the largest employer of labor, but now we're fully exposed. And if care is not taken, the impact will be severe. We've been facing so many challenges from left, right. It's like they're just hitting us left, right, and center, and nobody really cares in a way. Despite all the good work the government agencies are putting in, there's no harmonization. So like, for example, we've been hit by petroleum prices regulation, so cost of inputs have gone up, followed by diesel cost also went up. Now, the big one was this electricity tariffs. Now, this is a very dangerous situation and scenario for startups. Let me give you an example. You are a startup and your power bill that used to be 9 million naira before per month has now gone to 32 million naira per month. How does an SME survive that? How do you absorb that? Who do you push that to? I'm not sure if there's anything going to be done to help people, but in the groups that I belong to, every day you hear about 3 to 5 startups or MSMEs closing offices and saying they can't do anymore. They can't deal with this. It is choking. Even for us, we've had to look at our production cycle and say, if we don't get this kind of quantity of orders, we cannot put up our machines because the electricity tariffs are crazy. Now you ask me, you say, but the big manufacturing companies are not talking about this. They are not talking about this because before they were benchmarked on diesel and CNG. So for them, electricity comes at a cheaper rate. But for those MSMEs, we were benchmarked on petrol and fuel-use diesel and power costs, largely on power costs. Power costs have gone up from 90-something or something naira to 209 naira per unit. It is crazy and it's a dangerous situation if nothing is done to help. Now, part of the challenges we also face is that, so we're looking at maybe if government can come up with tax breaks or some form of support like they did for MSMEs during COVID, so we can gradually, absorb this cost and try and grow. Because right now, consumer purchasing power has reduced. So if the power for consumption has reduced, you cannot run your offices, you are shutting down, then the future looks very bleak for startups right now in the country. The other challenge is, access to funding. As a female-led business, even though these opportunities are all over, they tell you it is available, but for a woman, it is tougher. We're not brought there on equal grounds. We're not playing on equal playing grounds. Traditionally, men are the ones that have access to these collaterals. Very few women have access to collateral, those kind of huge collateral that can enable businesses scale up. And so the women are disadvantaged. I don't know if there are plans to have women-focused facilities that can help women grow, either cash collateral or you collateralize their facilities, their equipment as they buy them. I don't know, but right now, the only options that we have available are the banks, which even should not be financing or are not even structured to finance our kind of business. Nigerian banks will say they have the facility, but they don't give you moratorium periods. They don't give you the moratorium period. You hear that, yes, this facility is available. Now go through the documentation process. You are told to go and bring your grandfather's underwear, and there's no moratorium period. I'm bringing in machines. My machines will take about 6 months to come in here. There's no moratorium period. So from month one, you're already paying for something that you're very excited to enjoy. So I think more thought needs to be done about. We need patient capital for our kind of businesses. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. We hear you. And really, a lot is being done. The National Collateral Registry, there's a lot of fine-tuning being done at various levels, at various platforms. Yes, there's need for harmonization. So we will speak to ourselves more as regards even policy in policy direction, in policy areas. We will speak to ourselves more. Private sector speaking to the public sector, and then there will be a lot more conversation in the area of collaboration, harmonization, and we hear you very clearly. Yes, large enterprises have economies of scale. They live it on that, so they are not as hit as the MSMEs are hit by these challenges. Unfortunately, we need to wrap up at this time. I know that if we want this conversation to go on, we can go on and on and on, but I must say that we've had a very insightful an hour, 10 minutes thereabout, and an hour, 15 minutes, thereabout. We've had a very insightful session, and I want to thank all the panelists for sharing from your huge wealth of experience. Somebody has raised their hand. If you can just put your question on the chat, we will address those questions even outside here. 2 more persons have raised their hand. Thank you very much. Over to Amaka. Thank you so much, our panelists and our very patient participants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hansen. I feel like, giving a round of applause from where I'm at. Thank you for moderating the conversations, and a huge thank you to our special guests who stayed on the call, stayed engaged. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the questions. The chat box has been buzzing. Our guest speakers, thank you so much for the insights that you have shared. This has really been a robust conversation, and this is what we were going for, or we were gunning for from the beginning or the onset. And so in light of what everyone has shared, the insights, the contributions, the recommendations from the speakers, from the questions, from the answers, what we're going to do in terms of next steps will be to distill all of this into key agreements or very key high-level key highlights that will feed into conversations at the Nest 30 Summit. And speaking of the Nest 30 Summit, this is our appeal and a word of encouragement to really just register to attend the summit. My colleagues will drop the link in the chat box. I know that it is 30.nestgroup.org to pre-register to attend the summit. This conversation has really been one of several conversations happening within the NESG, and it is jointly organized by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. So this conversation we're having on improving access to markets is one of several conversations that would also feed into larger conversations at the next summit. So if you enjoyed what we talked about today and all the issues we raised, a lot of which we couldn't fully exhaust, you can imagine what the conversations will be at the next summit. And because you're key stakeholders within the space, we want to continue to engage with you. So please register to attend the next summit. Again, the link is 30.nesgroup.org. And on that note, I would like to say thank you very much to every single person on the call for staying with us. We look forward to continuing these conversations. All the questions that we couldn't answer because of time, we will take that on board and just ensure that we streamline that so that these issues are addressed at the larger panel or larger conversations at the next summit. Together, we hope to see change. We hope to see reform within the entrepreneurship ecosystem so that our MSMEs, who are really at the heart of the policy conversations that we have, such as the one we're having now, MSMEs such as Adiola Balogun, who represents one of them, would find an enabling environment to continue to thrive, even start or grow or scale, because when that happens, then we would see that collective impact hit the economy in terms of GDP, in terms of job creation, which really right now is essential for our economy. So on that note, thank you very much again, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the day. From all of us at the MSME Community of Practice and at the NESG, it is bye for now, and see you at the next 30 Summit in October. Thank you very much and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, panelists, would like to take pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Yeah.
Okay, do we have the pictures now? I feel like I've been smiling for 5 minutes now.
Yes, we have the pictures. Thank you for
Okay.
joining. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. OBDK. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Adiola Balogun. Thank you. And our very own Mrs. Hansen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.